Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 375. Robert Maxwell, Mitt Romney, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Who are these people, by the way? And Jeffrey Epstein, by the way. So I don't know if everybody knows what's going on with the Jeffrey Epstein Pedo Island thing and the Lolita Express, but this is probably the greatest news story in the history of mankind, and barely anybody is running the story at all, which means it's probably a real story. And so I don't know if I'll give you a little bit of background information. So way back when the Podesta emails got leaked, they talked about all sorts of nefarious behavior with lots of prominent politicians. When I say nefarious, I mean sexual indecency with underage people. Okay, those were the Podesta emails. The guy that leaked them, Seth Rich, was part of the DNC. He ended up shot dead in Washington, D.C., and nobody stole his wallet, so he was assassinated. So this is apparently really good information. You can actually go online and read the Podesta emails. They're really quite amazing. Well, anyway, so Jeffrey Epstein is the guy that, the multi-millionaire slash almost billionaire. He had a mansion in New York. He has one in New Mexico, like a ranch in New Mexico. He has a multi-million-dollar mansion in Paris. And he had an island in the Caribbean Sea off the coast of Florida. Where they did all sorts of horrible things on the island with underage girls for the most part. And I don't think it was just girls. I think it was more than that. Well, it turns out this was not just a hack job, a guy that had a fallen nature. Jeffrey Epstein is probably an intelligence asset, or was. He was an intelligence asset. And he was funded by an intelligence organization, potentially Mossad, who knows, to get blackmailable information on very prominent politicians and very powerful people. Let's see, Donald Trump knew Maxwell, but he said he broke off his relationship 15 years ago. Bill Clinton was on the island 26 separate times without Secret Service. And, anyway, Epstein had this a madam that went and got all the girls for him, and she partook in a lot of the events too, by the way. And her name was Ghislaine Maxwell. So what happens? Epstein got caught in 2012, I believe it was, and Acosta, who was Trump's Housing and Urban Development Secretary, he was in his cabinet, was the lead prosecutor on that case. And Trump asked him, he said, why did you let him off with just a 12-month home arrest sentence? This guy was a sexual trafficker. And Acosta said, I was told he's above my pay grade, hands off, and he belongs to intelligence, which means he probably was an intelligence asset. And he probably was a Mossad agent, actually. So Israeli intelligence probably to blackmail American politicians, prominent people, business people, and like media execs and all the other stuff. And so Ghislaine Maxwell, who was she? Well, her father, Robert Maxwell, was a media mogul, in Great Britain. He had a media empire, but he was also Mossad as well. And he was very much involved in intelligence agencies and disinformation campaigns. And he ended up dead in 1991. He was found floating in the Mediterranean Ocean, face down after he fell off his yacht, Lady Ghislaine, which was named after his daughter. So you have Robert Maxwell, who's an intelligence op. You have Jeffrey Epstein, who's an intelligence op. And then you have Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's madam, who is the daughter of Robert Maxwell, who is the madam to get all these girls for the intelligence ops so they can blackmail American politicians and businessmen and media execs. And not just America. Prince Andrew's involved in it, apparently. Well, so here's the deal, right? So this goes really deep. I mean, they may have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of politicians with blackmailable information, and this is why the deep state stays the deep state. That if you want to go higher up in the deep state, if you want access to public treasury funds, if you want access to foreign aid, if you want access, that you have to actually go to the island and eat the forbidden fruit or drink the forbidden wine or whatever it is, because then you're blackmailable and you're then controllable, and then this is how all the power, goes to the top of the organization. And anybody who does partake gets to partake within the public treasury dollars and all the foreign aid and everything that gets funneled into these organizations. Well, I predicted on one of my last videos that Mitt Romney was going to be a co-running mate with either Clinton or Kamala Harris or something like that for the Democratic Party. And somebody commented that Mitt Romney was in business with Robert Maxwell. Whoa. So I did a little research on this, by the way. It was a quick little internet search, but Robert Maxwell gave Mitt Romney $2 million as like startup money for Bain Capital, which is Mitt Romney's baby. And Bain Capital was, about restructuring, companies and buying and selling them and so on and so forth and extracting dollars from them. And it made Mitt Romney exquisitely wealthy. So, well, that wouldn't be that out of the ordinary too much, except for the fact that Mitt Romney has been the leading voice in the anti-Trump, in the Never Trumper movement, right? He's been the one that's been slamming Trump all the time. He's been the one sole senator that voted for impeachment. Mitt Romney is at the forefront of getting Trump out. And Trump's on the forefront of trying to bust the deep state apart, right? Drain the swamp and release all this Epstein Island information. So I just found that exquisitely interesting. Now, here's the deal. So it was last year Epstein got arrested. He was going to go to jail for a really long time, and they were going to bust apart the whole case. Well, what happens? Epstein goes to jail in like a high-security federal prison in New York City, and the cameras break. The typical security guards get released, and they have new security guards that never worked there. They fell asleep. They weren't like working. There's no video of anything. And Epstein ends up killing himself, right, with a fractured hyoid bone, which you can't do by strangling yourself or hanging. You can't do that from hanging. Turns out that's probably a strangle injury. So Epstein was killed. Well, anyway, so Lady Ghislaine Maxwell, the madam of Jeffrey Epstein, was in Paris, and you can't extradite people from Paris. They have strict extradition laws. And so she was safe from American justice over there. And there she is, just hanging out in France. And what happens? She gets arrested last week in New Hampshire. She just bought $1 million house a couple years ago or a couple months ago, and she was in New Hampshire. I smell a fish, and this is what I wanted to say, by the way. I smell a fish because Lady Ghislaine Maxwell was essentially protected by staying in Paris, and she had $1 million home there, right? And she could have stayed in Epstein's home or whatever it was, and she had no reason to come back to America, but she did. So either one of two things: either she's completely haughty and thinks she's above the law and she doesn't have to care about anything, and she just figured nobody would ever catch her in New Hampshire. That doesn't make any sense, right? Or she turned herself in, and meaning she got arrested and now she's going to start singing like a canary. Now, if Ghislaine Maxwell works for intelligence or Mossad, and she turns herself in like that, do you think she's going to tell the truth, right? Traveling to America, she was almost guaranteed to get arrested. She gets arrested, and now she's going to start squawking like a canary. Who knows what the heck she's going to say? So here's my prediction for you, by the way. Either A, she's going to say, it's all about Trump. Trump did the whole thing, and Trump's the only one that's involved in this whole thing. And she'll have a recording or something like that. I don't know what it is. Number one, because she's still working for intelligence, by the way. Or number two, they've already designed 3 people or 4 people that she's going to out. She's going to have videos and recordings. They're already in hiding or already dead, these people, right? And and then she'll say, and that's the end of it. And so case closed, done. And she'll get a plea bargain because she sang like a canary, and she'll go away, right? And she'll go back to Paris or whatever it is. Or number 4, she found the truth, right? She had an epiphany, and she wants to come clean, and she's going to out everybody, and that will be the end of the deep state. That's not going to happen, by the way. Well, anyway, that's the whole story. What's going on? I think Ghislaine Maxwell is going to put a monkey wrench in the whole code of justice, and I just hope they can get some good information out of her to hopefully take down some of the deep state. But I did find it very interesting that Mitt Romney was given startup capital by Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, and he is the main deep state dude in the U.S. Senate. I mean, he's like the IOC, the International Olympic Organization or Committee, essentially like bows down to anything he does. They gave him the Olympics in Salt Lake City. He saved the Olympics, they said, and they're always like throwing praise upon him. And mind you, I mean, he's tall and good looking, for sure he is. But he's not particularly well spoken, and he's not particularly that intelligent, but he keeps rising to the top of the Republican Party like a turd. So I think, honestly, he's there. He's probably an intelligence op. He probably has done something on the island. I hope that comes out. But all that being said is if Mitt Romney is in the Democratic Party, I think this proves or if he runs for president or vice president of the Democratic Party when Biden steps down, I think that's going to prove everything that I've been saying. Well, anyway, this is all fun to think about. Who knows what the heck's going to happen, but I still think Trump's going to win by a landslide. And even if Trump doesn't win, that last 2.5 months of his presidency, the lame duck period, will be the funnest period in the history of America. So get ready. This will be a heck of a roller coaster ride this year. And this is Catholic Dad. Please like or subscribe, get the Mass, and pray the Daily Rosary. God bless you all.